There are moments in life that don't just hurt you. They change the shape of who you are. Moments so unexpected that even your heartbeat falls silent. My moment arrived on a quiet Sunday afternoon. One that should have been peaceful, familiar, ordinary. My name is Evelyn Carter. I'm 58 years old, and what I'm about to share is something I never imagined would happen inside my own home. I had only napped for an hour. The morning had been spent preparing Sunday dinner like I always did: roasted turkey, mashed potatoes, vegetables simmered with herbs. My son Michael and his wife, Sabrina, lived with me in the house my late husband left behind. A warm, wooden place in Maplewood, where bougainvillea climbed the fence, and the scent of old pine never quite faded. When I woke up, something felt strangely off. My head felt lighter, different. I lifted a hand to my hair, expecting the familiar weight of the long silver strands I had cared for over 30 years. My fingers hit uneven ends. I froze. A cold shock ran down my spine. I stood and hurried to the bathroom mirror. The breath left my body. My waist-length hair was gone. Not trimmed, not styled, hacked, cut to my shoulders in jagged, uneven chunks, like someone had taken scissors to it in the dark. The room tilted. I gripped the sink, fighting the urge to collapse. I walked into the living room on trembling legs. Michael and Sabrina were on the couch, relaxed, as if nothing in the world had happened. Sabrina had a small smile on her face, sharp and almost satisfied. "What happened to my hair?" I asked. My voice barely made a sound. Sabrina crossed her arms and said, with a coldness that made my skin crawl, "That's how you learn your place." I stared at her, unable to process the words. Then I turned to Michael, my son, the boy I carried through fevers and nightmares, the young man I held when his father died in my arms. "Mom, don't be dramatic," he said, not even bothering to stand. "You're too old for hair that long." Sabrina was just trying to help. That word helped cut deeper than any scissors. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. Not in front of them. I walked back to my bedroom, closed the door, and looked at myself in the mirror again. My hair hung in uneven clumps around my shoulders, a mockery of everything it once meant to me. In that moment, something inside me shifted, quietly, permanently. I made a decision. A decision that, 3 days later, would bring both of them to their knees, begging, shaking with regret. Whether I did the right thing, I'm still not sure. Before I tell you what happened next, you need to know who I was before that Sunday, who I had spent decades becoming. My full name is Evelyn Carter Reyes. I grew up in Philadelphia, in a family of textile merchants. My father owned a fabric shop downtown. I spent my childhood surrounded by silk, linen, Egyptian cotton materials that taught me that valuable things must be cared for, respected, protected. When I was 23, I met Daniel Carter at a wedding. A civil engineer, 10 years older, gentle in a way that stayed with you. We married 6 months later. Ours was the kind of marriage built slowly, with morning coffee and long conversations on the porch. The kind people don't build anymore. When Michael was 2, Daniel and I bought the Maplewood house. A simple 2-story home with a garden where I planted jasmine, bougainvillea, and a lemon tree that still bears fruit every spring. Michael learned to walk there. We celebrated birthdays there. Daniel and I grew older there. It was our world. My long silver hair had been part of that life. Daniel used to braid it for me on quiet Sunday afternoons while we watched old films. He said it was the most beautiful part of me. When he died suddenly 5 years ago, I couldn't bring myself to cut it. Keeping it long felt like keeping a part of him close. Every morning, brushing it, I felt connected to him again. Michael was our only child. We loved him fiercely. Maybe too fiercely. We paid for his schooling, his private university, his mistakes, his false starts. We never allowed him to face the consequences of anything. Maybe that was our fault. Maybe we created the man he became. But all of those realizations came later, after the Sunday afternoon when I woke up and discovered what my own son had allowed someone to do to me. He had gone through several jobs over the years. None lasted long. There was always an excuse. The boss was unfair. The schedule was impossible. The pay wasn't worth it. And then he met Sabrina at a party. She was younger, from a family outside New Jersey. In the beginning, she seemed pleasant enough. She talked loudly, laughed too hard, wore tight dresses and expensive perfume. But there was something in her eyes I could never read. Something that made me uneasy, without knowing why. They married quickly, too quickly. And when Michael told me they needed a place to stay just until they settled, I didn't hesitate. The house was large. I had been living alone since Daniel passed. I imagined it would be nice to have company again. To fill the silence with family dinners, warm bread in the oven, coffee brewing in the mornings the way it used to. I even started helping them financially. $2,000 every month. It wasn't a small amount, but Daniel had left me a solid pension and some savings. I told myself, he's my son. My own blood. What else is money for, if not to help the child you raised? The first few months were good. Sabrina cooked sometimes. Michael hugged me and said, "Thank you. Mom, we couldn't do this without you." And I believed him. But slowly, something shifted. Sabrina's comments started small teeny pricks, easy to ignore at first. "Oh, mother-in-law, are you going out dressed like that? That style is so outdated. Evelyn, don't take it personally, but your food is very old-fashioned. People eat lighter now. Do you still use that cream? The spa I go to has much better products." Michael never defended me. He nodded, occasionally laughed, and I told myself it was fine. A mother always finds a way to excuse her child's behavior. They're young, they're stressed, they're adjusting. I repeated these words until they sounded like truth. But the moment I woke up with my hair chopped off and heard Sabrina say, "Cold as ice. That's how you learn your place," I knew there was no justification left. Something inside me tore in a way that didn't mend. When a woman reaches 58, after a lifetime of giving, forgiving, bending, and surviving, the break is different. It's final. It echoes. People think ruptures happen in a single moment. They don't. Cracks come first, small ones, and the walls you imagine are solid. And when the collapse finally arrives, it feels sudden only because you ignored the warning signs. That Sunday night, after discovering what they had done, I didn't leave my room. I didn't go down for dinner. I didn't want them to see my face or the trembling in my hands. I sat on the edge of my bed, picking up the strands of hair scattered across my pillow. So much of it. Long, soft, silver curls, 30 years of care resting on the white comforter Daniel gave me for our 20th anniversary. Downstairs, I heard laughter. Michael and Sabrina were watching TV, talking, eating, existing as if nothing had happened, as if cutting a woman's hair while she slept was completely normal, something trivial. My throat tightened, but no tears came. There was something colder than sadness forming inside me. Something heavy, settling deep in my chest. I didn't know its name yet, but I felt it growing. The next morning, I woke before dawn. I looked at my reflection again. The jagged cut was still there, raw and ugly, like an open wound. I tried to smooth it with my fingers, but there was no saving it. I would have to go to a salon. I would have to explain. And that shame alone made my stomach twist. How does a woman tell a stranger that her own daughter-in-law cut her hair while she slept? How does she explain that her son allowed it? I walked downstairs slowly. Sabrina was in the kitchen wearing a pink silk robe I had never seen before, undoubtedly expensive. Undoubtedly bought with the money I gave them every month. She sipped her coffee and scrolled on her phone. "Morning, mother-in-law," she said without looking up. I didn't answer. I poured myself a cup of coffee. My hands shook so badly, the liquid spilled onto the table. Sabrina sighed. Oh, Evelyn, don't take it so personally. It was just hair. It'll grow back. Just hair. 30 years of memories. 30 years of Daniel braiding it on quiet afternoons. 30 years of identity. Reduced to nothing by someone who didn't understand any part of me. I wanted to speak. I wanted to shout that this was my home, that I supported them. That she had crossed a line she could never uncross. But the words refused to come. I stood there, staring at the steam fading from my coffee. Michael came downstairs half an hour later, freshly showered. Smelling of the cologne I bought him every Christmas. He smiled as if the world was perfect. Morning, Mom, sleep well? I steadied my voice. Michael, I need to talk to you. He poured himself orange juice. Okay, what happened yesterday? I said. What Sabrina did was not okay. Sabrina finally looked up from her phone. Her eyes narrowed, sharp and dismissive. What exactly wasn't okay, Ma? Helping you look better. Getting rid of that outdated old lady look? Sabrina said, lifting her chin with that smug confidence I had grown to fear. You didn't ask my permission, I said, my voice thin and cracking. You came into my bedroom while I was sleeping. You cut my hair without my consent. That isn't helping. That's what, she interrupted, standing up slowly. Violence, abuse. Please, Evelyn, don't exaggerate. I did you a favor. And if you can't see that, the problem is yours. I looked at Michael. I waited for him to say something, anything. To defend me? To tell her she crossed a line. To say, my mom is right. What you did was wrong. But he didn't. Mom, he sighed in a tired voice. Seriously, enough. It's over. Don't turn this into a drama. Sabrina was trying to help. Besides, you're too old to have hair that long. It was, I don't know, weird, my hair. The hair Daniel used to braid on quiet Sunday afternoons. The hair I kept long to carry a piece of him with me. Weird. Something detached inside me quietly, permanently. Like an old root tearing from the ground. I didn't say another word. I turned around, went upstairs, grabbed my purse, and walked out of the house. I walked to the avenue and took a cab. I asked the driver to take me to the little salon where I'd been going for years. The one where Mrs. Martha always greeted me with warmth. When I walked in, Martha took one look at me and gasped. Oh, Evelyn, what happened? I told her everything. Every detail. Every word spoken. And as I spoke, the tears finally came. Tears I hadn't shed in 5 years, not since Daniel died. Martha didn't interrupt. She just wrapped her arms around me and held me until I could breathe again. Then she washed my hair with lavender oil and warm water, her hands gentle, steady. We can't save everything, she whispered, but I'll make it look the best I can. When she finished, I stared at the woman in the mirror. The short hair brushing the bottom of my ears made me look different, older. More fragile, but also something else. Something I didn't fully understand yet. Thank you, Martha, I said quietly. She squeezed my shoulder. Evelyn, listen to me. What they did to you isn't normal. It's not love, it's control. And if you don't set boundaries now, they're going to keep taking pieces of you until nothing remains. Her words followed me all the way home. The living room was empty when I returned. I went straight upstairs, locked my bedroom door, and opened the manila envelope where I kept important documents, deeds, bank papers, my will. I read everything slowly, carefully. The house was in my name entirely. Daniel had left it to me in his will. Michael had no legal claim, none. I checked my bank statements. Every month, I had transferred $2,000 into Michael's account. 12 months a year. $24,000 annually. 2 years. Nearly $50,000 in total. I closed my eyes and breathed in deeply. I made a decision, but I wouldn't act impulsively, not yet. Daniel had taught me that real decisions are made with a calm mind, not with trembling hands. I would wait 3 days. 3 days to see if this was just pain. 3 days to see if Michael would apologize. 3 days to confirm what I already knew in my bones. That night, during dinner, Sabrina made pasta. She sat at the table like she owned the house. Michael talked about a new business idea, something he wanted to start. Something that needed more money. I ate quietly. I smiled when appropriate. But inside, something had shifted without their knowledge. The next 2 days passed strangely, like we were all acting in a play. I pretended nothing hurt. Sabrina pretended she had done nothing wrong. And Michael pretended his mother wasn't broken inside. On Tuesday morning, I woke early, prepared breakfast huevos rancheros, refried beans, fresh tortillas. The smell filled the house, carrying memories of Philadelphia kitchens and my mother teaching me to cook on her old clay griddle. Sabrina came down at 10 in designer pajamas. She sat at the table and frowned at the plate I had served. Oh my, beans again. I told you, I'm watching my figure. Too many calories. I took the plate back without arguing. I made her a green smoothie, strawberries, spinach, banana, almond milk. She didn't even say thank you. Michael appeared half an hour later. He kissed Sabrina on the forehead, hardly glanced at me, and said, "Mom, can you iron my blue shirt? I need it for an interview." "Of course, son." I went to his room. The bed unmade. Clothes scattered everywhere. Empty bottles on the nightstand. I cleaned, folded, ironed, and somewhere between smoothing the collar of his shirt and picking socks off the floor, I asked myself when exactly I had stopped being his mother and become his maid. I didn't know. It had happened slowly. First it was, "Mom, can you help?" Then, "Mom, do this," until finally, "Mom, I need this done." And I always said yes. Because mothers sacrifice, mothers disappear. Mothers shrink so their children can shine. Or so I once believed. That afternoon, while cleaning the living room, I found something under the sofa. A real estate magazine. Several pages marked in yellow. Luxury condos in Manhattan. Townhouses in Brooklyn. Prices so high they felt unreal. There was a note scribbled in the margin in Sabrina's handwriting. "With the sale of the old lady's house, this is totally doable. 3 bedrooms, terrace, gym." Michael, what do you think? The old lady. That's what she called me. And they were planning to sell my house. The house Daniel and I built a life in. The house where Michael grew up. The house with my memories, my garden, my lemon tree. I closed the magazine slowly and slid it back where I had found it. My hands were steady. Not a tremor left in them, no tears. Only something colder, sharper, clarity. That night, I cooked dinner. Chicken and dumplings, rice, homemade biscuits. 3 hours of chopping, stirring, kneading, my hands moving automatically while my mind repeated Sabrina's words. With the sale of the old lady's house, Michael and Sabrina sat down to eat. Sabrina scrolled through her phone between bites. Michael complained about his interview. "Mom, they were idiots. They asked me ridiculous questions. As if I don't know what I'm doing." "Relax, son," I said softly. "Something better will come." He sighed. "Yeah, but can you increase the help this month? Maybe 500 extra. Just this once. Just this once." The same phrase for 6 months. "Of course, son. I'll transfer it tomorrow." Sabrina looked up then. She gave me a smile that wasn't really a smile. "Thank you, Mom. You're very generous." Generous? After dinner, I washed dishes, cleaned the kitchen, then went upstairs and spread the documents again on my bed. Among them was a letter Daniel had written when he knew his heart was failing. "My dear Evelyn, if you are reading this, it means I am gone. Please remember that you are stronger than you realize. This house belongs to you. It is your sanctuary. Don't let anyone take it from you, not even Michael. Love him, guide him, but don't let him consume you. Sometimes the greatest love is saying no." Saying yes to everything isn't love, it's fear. Be brave, my love. Be the woman I always admired. Yours, Daniel. I closed the letter, and this time, the tears that fell were not of sadness. They were tears of anger, shame, and awakening. Daniel had been right. I had been afraid to be alone, afraid to lose Michael, afraid to lose the last piece of family I had, and that fear had turned me into a shadow. A woman who allowed her hair to be cut while she slept. A woman who cooked and cleaned, and paid for everything, while being called the old lady in her own home. No more. Wednesday arrived with gray skies and the scent of wet earth in the yard. The bougainvillea glistened with raindrops. I ate breakfast alone, black coffee, no sugar. I needed the bitterness. Sabrina came down around noon. Mother-in-law, I'm going out. Spa day. Don't wait for me for lunch. Have fun, I said. Michael left soon after for another interview that likely wouldn't go anywhere. For the first time in years, I was truly alone in my house. I picked up the phone. I dialed the number of Mr. Wallace, the lawyer who had worked with Daniel for years. Mr. Wallace, this is Evelyn Carter. Mrs. Evelyn, how wonderful to hear from you. How are you? I need to see you tomorrow. It's urgent. Of course. What time? 10 in the morning. And Mr. Wallace, I need you to prepare certain documents. An eviction notice. And I need to cancel a recurring bank transfer. There was a long silence. Mrs. Evelyn, are you sure? Completely sure. I hung up the phone. My heart was steady. My mind was clear. Tomorrow would be Thursday, the third day, and everything would change. I still wonder if I made the right choice. What would you have done in my place? Thursday morning came with a sky so blue it looked freshly washed. I hadn't slept, but I got up at 6, showered slowly, and chose my clothes with care. I chose a navy blue dress, the one Daniel gave me on our last anniversary together. Closed-toe shoes, a simple pearl necklace I inherited from my mother. I wanted to look steady, composed like a woman who had not been defeated, even if she had been wounded. I made coffee, only for myself. I didn't prepare breakfast for anyone. Sabrina came downstairs at 9, yawning, her hair tangled. Morning, mother-in-law. No breakfast. I didn't prepare anything today. I have to go out. Go out where? To do what? Personal business. I didn't explain. I grabbed my purse and keys and walked out. The fresh air hit my face like a reminder that the world was bigger than the four walls I'd been suffocating in. I inhaled deeply, feeling my lungs expand, as if I had been breathing stale, heavy air for days. I took a taxi to Mr. Wallace's office in Midtown. The old building still had a cage elevator that rattled on the way up. I reached the 3rd floor. The secretary smiled warmly. Mrs. Carter, the attorney is expecting you. Mr. Wallace stood when I walked in. He was nearly 70, gray hair, thick glasses. The same gentle expression he'd always had when working with Daniel. Mrs. Evelyn, please come in. Have a seat. I sat across from his desk, the dark wood crowded with papers, files, and law books. A photo of his wife sat in a golden frame at the corner. Thank you for seeing me so quickly, I said. For you, always. But I'll admit, your call concerned me. You never ask for anything urgently. I took a breath. I need you to prepare 2 documents. The first is an eviction notice. I have 2 people living in my home without a lease. I want them out. He picked up his pen. Names: Michael Carter, my son, and his wife, Sabrina Carter. His pen stopped mid-stroke. He lifted his eyes slowly. Your son? Silence hung between us, heavy and questioning. Mrs. Evelyn, are you certain? A decision like this is emotionally complicated. I'm certain. May I ask what happened? I told him everything. From the moment I woke up with my hair chopped off to the real estate magazine I found under the sofa, the $2,000 I sent every month, The way I was treated in my own home. The way they spoke about me. The way they planned to sell the house Daniel and I built together. The words came easier than I expected. They rushed out like they had been trapped for months, waiting for someone to hear them, to confirm I wasn't imagining everything. Mr. Wallace listened in absolute silence. When I finished, he removed his glasses and wiped them carefully. Mrs. Evelyn, what you're describing is serious, very serious. Not only legally, morally. I know. The house is in your name alone. You have every right to ask them to leave. But the law requires a 30-day notice. 30 days, I repeated. Yes, but I can prepare the document today and deliver it personally tomorrow. I nodded. And the bank transfer? I asked. That's simple. You can cancel it today. I'll prepare the authorization. He handed me a single sheet. I read it, signed it, pushed it back. Cancel it, I said. He placed the paper in a folder. One more question, he said gently. Do you have somewhere safe to go if things become tense? It's my house. I'm not leaving. I understand. But when people lose financial support or a place to live, they may react unpredictably. Even family. His words settled somewhere deep in my chest. Not because I believed Michael would physically harm me, but because I realized for the first time I no longer knew who my son truly was. I have friends, I said. If things get complicated, I can stay with them. Good. Then tomorrow at 11, I'll deliver the eviction notice myself. Will they be home? They're always home. I left the office with a strange, quiet heaviness inside me. Not relief. Not sadness. Something else. Resolve. Like cutting off a dead branch before it infects the entire tree. I walked down Broadway, past coffee shops and bookstores, people bustling everywhere. Just one more woman in a city full of lives and stories. Yet inside me, something was sharpening, solidifying. I stopped at a small coffee shop. I ordered an Americano and a slice of cornbread. I sat by the window, watching the street, the old buildings, the movement of life. And I thought of Daniel, how he would have handled all this. Firm but fair, never cruel, never vengeful, but never willing to be walked on. Sometimes the greatest love is saying no. I remembered those words from his letter. When I checked my phone, I saw 3 missed calls from Sabrina. None from Michael. Not a single one from my own son. I didn't return the calls. I returned home around 4. Sabrina was in the living room watching television. She muted it the moment I walked in. Where were you? I called you 1,000 times. I had things to do. What things? My things. She frowned. You're acting really strange, mother. Is something wrong? No, nothing is wrong. I went upstairs, closed my door, and sat on the edge of my bed. Tomorrow, Mr. Wallace would arrive with the papers. Tomorrow, Michael and Sabrina would learn they had 30 days to leave. Tomorrow, they would realize the money was gone. Tomorrow, the real conflict would begin. During dinner that night, I acted exactly as I always had. I made quesadillas, refried beans, green salsa. I served their plates. I sat down. Michael talked about another business idea. His voice full of excitement, full of dependence. Mom, I've been thinking. If we sell this house and buy something smaller, we could use the extra money to invest. I could finally start something successful. Sabrina nodded eagerly. Yes, Mother. There are gorgeous condos in Manhattan. More modern, more practical. This house is too big for you alone anyway. For me alone. As if they weren't living here. As if they hadn't consumed every part of my life. We'll see, I said. Sabrina's eyes narrowed. What is there to see? Ethan is right, this house is too much for you. You don't need it. I took a sip of water. I looked at the 2 people sitting across from me. The son I had once loved without limits, and the woman he had chosen. All I felt was distance. We'll talk about it tomorrow, I said. And in my mind, quietly and firmly, I added, tomorrow you'll learn none of this belongs to you. Not the house. Not my money. Not me. I went to sleep early that night. For the first time in days, my body finally rested. No nightmares. No tears. Just a deep, quiet sleep. Maybe because I already knew that what was coming could no longer be stopped, and I was no longer afraid of it. Friday arrived under a clear sky. The light had that golden October warmth, but there was something else in the air, too, something still. Heavy, the kind of silence that happens right before a storm. A silence that warns you something is about to break. I woke at 6:30. I showered slowly, letting the hot water run down my back as I thought about the day ahead. I dressed with cabbage linen pants, a white cotton blouse, comfortable shoes. I wanted to look calm, composed, untouched by panic. I made coffee, only for myself. I didn't feel obligated to cook for anyone anymore. That part of me was gone. I sat in the dining room facing the backyard. The red bougainvillea swayed gently in the morning breeze. The lemon tree was beginning to grow new, fruits, small, green, stubborn. That tree had survived everything. Frost, pests, heat waves, and still, it grew. I would too. At 9, Sabrina finally came downstairs. She wore a peach-colored satin robe, her hair in a messy bun, mascara smudged under her eyes. "Morning, mother-in-law. Is breakfast ready?" "I didn't make anything today." She made an annoyed sound. "God, what is wrong with you now? Are you mad or something?" "I'm not mad." "Then why are you acting weird? You've been so strange for days." "Is this still about the hair?" "Just get over it, Evelyn. It was just hair." "Just hair. Always just hair." I didn't answer. I sipped my coffee. She poured cereal straight from the box into her mouth, standing in front of the open fridge like the house belonged to her. At 10, Michael appeared in sweatpants and a t-shirt, smelling of the expensive cologne I bought him every month. "Morning," he said, yawning. "Mom, can you make me some eggs?" "Not today," I said calmly. "I have a visitor." "A visitor? Who?" "Mr. Wallace." He frowned. "Dad's lawyer." "For what?" "Legal matters." "What legal matters?" "You'll know when he arrives." Sabrina stopped chewing. "Legal matters? What are you talking about, Evelyn?" "You'll find out soon," I said. I went upstairs. I needed a few minutes alone before everything began. I sat on the edge of my bed, looking at the room that had been mine for 30 years. I had slept beside Daniel here. I had cried for him here. I had dreamed here. And here, I had been humiliated, my hair cut while I slept. I couldn't keep living like that. Not one more day. At exactly 11, the doorbell rang. I walked downstairs. Michael and Sabrina were already in the living room, alert, uneasy. I opened the door. Mr. Wallace stood there in his gray suit, holding his leather briefcase. "Good morning, Mrs. Evelyn." "Good morning. Please, come in." He stepped inside. Michael stood to greet him. "Mr. Wallace. Nice to see you. How are you?" "Well, thank you, Michael." "So, what brings you here?" Michael asked lightly, still clueless. Mr. Wallace looked at me. I nodded. "I've come to deliver some documents." Michael blinked, confused. "May we sit?" Mr. Wallace asked. "Of course," Michael said. We all sat. I took the single armchair. Michael and Sabrina sat on the sofa. Mr. Wallace sat across from them, opened his briefcase, and took out 2 envelopes. He handed one to Michael, one to Sabrina. "These are for you. Please read them carefully." Michael opened his envelope. He pulled out the papers. I watched his face as he read the slow shift from confusion to shock. From shock to disbelief. From disbelief to fear. What is this?" He stammered. "An eviction notice." Sabrina snatched the papers from his hand. She read faster than he did. Her eyes widened. "You're kicking us out," she shouted. "You're kicking us out of your house." "It's not your house," I said quietly. "It's my house. And yes, I'm asking you both to leave." "What?" Sabrina shot to her feet. This is insane. You can't do this. We're family. Family. I repeated the word slowly. Is family cutting someone's hair while they sleep? Is family calling me the old lady? Is family planning to sell my home without my permission? Sabrina froze. What are you talking about? I found the real estate magazine under the sofa. The one with your handwriting on it. With the sale of the old lady's house. Perfectly affordable. She swallowed hard. That wasn't. Don't lie, I said. Not today. Michael looked at her, then back at me. Mom, why would you do this to us? We're your family. Why would you? Because you stopped being family the moment you stopped treating me like a human being. His mouth fell open. Sabrina looked stunned, angry, trapped, and Mr. Wallace sat silently, waiting for the storm to break. Does that ring a bell? I asked her quietly. Sabrina opened her mouth, then closed it. No words came out. Michael was still sitting, the eviction notice trembling in his hands. He read it again and again, as if the words might magically change. Mom, this can't be serious, he whispered. We're your family. I'm your son. I know, Michael, and that's why this hurts. Then why? Why are you doing this? His voice cracked. If the hair thing bothered you, Sabrina can apologize. If she said something wrong, we'll fix it. But this, he held up the paper. This is too much. Too much. I stood up slowly. Do you know what's too much, Michael? Too much is living in my house for 2 years without paying rent. Too much is receiving $2,000 every month without working. Too much is treating me like your maid. Too much is planning to sell my home behind my back. We never planned to sell anything. Sabrina yelled. That magazine was just an idea. A conversation. It's not a crime. You're right. It's not a crime, I said. But it is a monumental lack of respect. Mr. Wallace cleared his throat gently. Allow me to explain the legal process. You both have 30 days to vacate the property. After that period, if you have not left voluntarily, we will proceed with judicial eviction. Additionally, the monthly transfer of $2,000 has been canceled effective today. Sabrina let out a stunned, bitter laugh. Canceled. You canceled the money too. Evelyn, do you realize what you're doing? You're leaving us homeless. No, I said calmly. You have 30 days. And Michael has hands. He can work. But what if he doesn't get a job? Sabrina screeched. How are we supposed to pay rent without money? That is not my problem, I said. You are adults. You need to support yourselves. Michael stared at me like he didn't recognize me. Who are you? He whispered. My mom wouldn't do this. My mom always helped us. What happened to you? His question sliced through me not because he was right, but because he only remembered the parts of me that served him. What happened to me? I repeated softly. I woke up. I finally understood that love is not sacrificing yourself until nothing of you is left. Love is not allowing yourself to be disrespected. Love has boundaries. But we're your family, he insisted. I'm your only son. And I am your mother, I said. But that does not give you the right to treat me as if I'm invisible. As if I'm a piece of old furniture? Sabrina crossed her arms tightly. This is ridiculous, Michael. We're not leaving. This woman is crazy. We've been living here for 2 years. We have rights. Mr. Wallace looked directly at her. Mrs. Sabrina, you are welcome to consult your own attorney, but you will find that legally, you have no case. You have no lease. You do not pay rent or utilities. Legally, you are guests. And a homeowner has full rights to ask guests to leave. Sabrina glared at him as if she wanted to tear him apart. Then she turned her glare to me, and in her eyes, I saw hatred. Pure, undiluted hatred. This isn't over, Evelyn, she hissed. I swear you're going to regret this. Maybe, I said quietly. But if I do, at least I'll regret it in my own home, in peace. Michael placed the papers on the table. He stood, eyes red whether from anger, shock, or something else. I couldn't tell. You're really going through with this? He asked. Yes. There's no way you'll change your mind. No. He nodded slowly, as if accepting something he still couldn't believe. Okay, then I guess there's nothing left to say. He walked upstairs. His bedroom door slammed shut a moment later. Sabrina pointed a shaking finger at me. You're going to end up alone. Completely alone. And when you're old and sick, no one will be there for you. No one. I'd rather be alone than in bad company, I replied. She let out a harsh, humorless laugh, grabbed her purse, and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The silence that followed was heavy, dense, but it felt clean, free, like stepping into fresh air after being suffocated for too long. Mr. Wallace rose slowly. Mrs. Evelyn, are you all right? Yes, I said. I'm fine. You did the right thing. It was not easy. But it was right. Thank you. Call me if you need anything. I nodded and walked him to the door. When he left, I closed it gently. Then I locked it. And standing there in the quiet entryway, I finally let myself breathe. A deep, full breath. I didn't cry. I didn't feel the urge to. Instead, I felt something release inside me. Like removing a shoe that had been crushing my foot for years. Or setting down a weight I didn't know I was carrying. I went upstairs, lay down on my bed, and closed my eyes. I thought of Daniel, how proud he would have been. How he would have said, "Well done, my love. Well done." That afternoon, Michael didn't leave his room. Sabrina came back at dusk. I heard them arguing, their voices sharp and frantic, searching for solutions that didn't exist. I stayed in my room, reading, sipping chamomile tea, watching the evening sky turn pink and gold. For the first time in years, I felt like my life belonged to me. At 9, there was a knock on my door. Mom, Michael's voice. Come in. He brushed the door open slowly. His eyes were swollen, his face pale. Can we talk? Of course. He sat in the chair by the window. I remained lying on the bed, my book resting on my chest. Mom, I didn't know you felt this way, he said quietly. I really didn't. You didn't know I was hurt when my hair was cut without my permission. Well, yes, that, but I thought you'd get over it quickly. I thought you were exaggerating. I wasn't exaggerating, Michael. My hair mattered to me. It was a part of your father. It was part of who I am. And Sabrina cut it like I was nothing. And you defended her. He looked down. I'm sorry. I really am. Are you sorry for what happened? I asked gently. Or are you sorry because there are consequences now? He looked up, really looked at me. Does it matter? He asked. Yes, Michael, it matters. A long silence followed, heavy, unsteady. Mom, he finally whispered. We have nowhere to go, Michael whispered. We don't have any savings. I haven't been able to find a job. I don't know what we're going to do. You have 30 days, I said softly. That's enough time to look for a job, to find a place, to start over. And what if we can't? He asked, voice breaking. You will. You're intelligent. You're capable. You've simply never had to try because I was always there to fix everything. And now you're not going to be. Not in the way I was before, no. His eyes filled with tears. You don't love me anymore. That sentence cut me open. I love you, Michael. I will always love you. You are my son, but loving you does not mean letting myself be disrespected. Loving you does not mean disappearing. Loving you does not mean losing who I am. He swallowed hard. Then, what does it mean? It means letting you grow, letting you fall, and trusting that you're strong enough to get up on your own. He wiped his face with the back of his hand. I don't know if I can. I know you can. He sat there for several minutes, quiet, thinking, hurting. Then he stood. Mom, is there any way to fix this? To make you reconsider? I thought about it, truly, maybe, but not now. Right now, I need you to leave. I need my space. I need my house. I need my life back." He nodded. He didn't argue. He didn't beg. He just walked out quietly. And I stayed on my bed, feeling something inside me settle. Like a bone finally aligning after being out of place for years. Outside, the night sky was full of stars. The lemon tree swayed gently, the bougainvillea shining faintly under the moon. And I, Evelyn Carter, 58 years old, felt myself slowly returning to the woman I used to be. The next days felt like living in two different worlds under one roof. Them in their corner, me in mine. We shared space, but nothing else. On Saturday, Michael and Sabrina left early without a word. I didn't ask where they were going. I used the quiet to clean, not because I had to, but because I needed something to do while my mind sorted through everything. While dusting the living room, I found more receipts. A $300 dinner in Beverly Hills, a $2,500 shopping spree at a luxury boutique, all charged to the credit card. I had given them 4 emergencies. I put the receipts in a box not to confront them, but to remind myself I had made the right decision. That afternoon, while watering the plants, my friend Roberta arrived. We had known each other 20 years. She was a 62 widow with snow-white hair and a laugh that could light up a room. I had told her everything over the phone, and she showed up without hesitation, carrying pastries and a thermos of coffee. "I came to keep you company," she said simply. We sat beneath the lemon tree. The afternoon sun covered everything in a soft golden glow. The bougainvillea looked brighter than ever, almost proud. "How are you?" Roberta asked gently. "I don't know," I admitted. "Sometimes I feel like I did the right thing. Other times I feel like I'm the worst mother in the world." "You are not the worst mother in the world, Evelyn. You're a mother who finally set boundaries. A mother who finally realized she matters too." "But he's my son," I whispered. "My only son. And you are his only mother," she said. "But that doesn't mean you have to sacrifice yourself until there's nothing left of you." I took a sip of coffee. It was perfect. Roberta always added just the right amount of sugar. "Do you know what the worst part is?" I said. "Michael hasn't truly apologized. He came to my room yesterday. He cried. He said he didn't know what to do. But he never said, 'Mom, forgive me. I was wrong. I failed you.' Because he doesn't understand yet," Roberta said softly. "He still thinks you're the one who's wrong. He still thinks he's the victim." "And what if he's right?" I whispered. "What if I am the one who's wrong?" Roberta took my hand. "Evelyn, look at me. Do you think it's okay for someone to cut your hair while you sleep?" Roberta asked gently. "No," I whispered. "Do you think it's okay for them to plan to sell your house behind your back?" "No." "Do you think it's okay for them to live off your money without working? Without gratitude, without respect?" "No." "Then you are not wrong," she said. "You're setting boundaries. And boundaries hurt, especially the first time you ever set them." She was right. Roberta was always right. We sat together under the lemon tree until the sun sank behind the rooftops and the sky turned orange and purple. When she finally left, I felt lighter, less guilty, less alone, less crazy. On Sunday, Sabrina came looking for me. I was in the kitchen making chamomile tea when she walked in. Her hair was loose, her face bare, no makeup, and for the first time, she looked vulnerable. "Mother, I need to talk to you." "Tell me." She sat at the table, nervously touching her nails. Perfect. French tips with glitter. Expensive. Done at a salon I probably paid for. "I know things haven't been good between us." "No," I said, "they haven't. And I want you to know that. I understand why you're mad." "I'm not mad, Sabrina," I said. "I'm disappointed." "That's different." She lowered her gaze. "The hair thing, it was a mistake. I admit it. I shouldn't have done it." "Why did you do it?" I asked. The silence stretched so long I thought she wouldn't answer. "Because I was jealous." I blinked. "Jealous? Of what? Of me. Of how Michael loves you. Of how he admires you. Of how he compares everything to you. My mom cooks better. My mom says this. My mom always did that. I wanted him to see me. To value me. And when I saw you with that long hair, so perfect, so cared for, I wanted to take something from you. I wanted you to feel small. The way I felt. For the first time, I saw her clearly, not just as the rude daughter-in-law who cut my hair, not as the woman who had filled my house with tension, not as the person who schemed to sell my home, but as an insecure young woman who had never built her own identity. Lauren, I said gently, I was never your competition. I know, she whispered. But that's how it felt. And now? How do you feel now? Scared, she admitted. We have no money. We have nowhere to go. Michael is falling apart. He cries at night. He can't sleep. He barely eats. And me. I don't know what to do. You can look for work, I said. Both of you. We're trying, she said. But no one wants to hire Michael. And I've never had a real job. I studied graphic design, but I never practiced. I depended on my parents, then on Michael, then on you. Then it's time to learn, I said. It's time for both of you to learn? She looked up, her eyes red. Is there no way you can forgive us? Give us another chance. I thought about it, truly. Maybe someday, I said softly. But not now. Now, I need you to leave. I need to reclaim my space. My life, my dignity. And what if we can't do it? What if we end up on the street? You won't, I said. You have family. You have friends. You have options. You just need to stop expecting me to solve everything. She nodded slowly. She stood up. At the doorway, she stopped. Evelyn, I'm sorry. I really am. I know, I said. And I believed her. But sometimes, apologies arrive too late. Long after the damage is done. Long after trust has turned into dust. The following days passed in a tense, quiet way. Michael and Sabrina began packing slowly, reluctantly. With a shadow of anger lingering behind every movement, I watched from a distance. I didn't interfere. I didn't help. I simply watched. One afternoon, Michael came downstairs while I was reading. Mom, we found an apartment in Queens, he said. It's small, old, but it's what we can afford. I'm glad you found something. You're glad. His voice held bitterness. Are you glad to see us like this? Struggling? Suffering? I'm not glad to see you suffer, I said calmly. But I am glad to see you struggle. Because struggle means you're growing. Growing into what? He asked sharply. Someone who hates his own mother. His words pierced me. But I kept my voice steady. If that's how you feel, I can't change it. But I hope that one day you understand that what I'm doing is not out of hatred. It's out of love. Love. He let out a hollow laugh. This doesn't look like love. Love is not always soft, I said. Love is not always comfortable. It is not saying yes to everything. It is not allowing yourself to be stepped on. Love is also saying no. Love is boundaries. Love is teaching by example. Well, your example is destroying me, he said. And he walked away. When he was gone, the tears finally came. Quiet at first, then heavier. I cried for the son who didn't understand. For the mother I used to be. For the woman I was becoming. For all the hurt that lived between us. Roberta had been right. Boundaries hurt the most when they are new. On the Wednesday of the next week, a small moving truck arrived. 2 men carried boxes out of the house. I stayed in my room. I didn't go downstairs. I knew that if I saw Michael carrying his things, if I saw him closing the door behind him, something in me would shatter. I heard the footsteps, the dragging boxes, the truck engine, and then finally, I went downstairs. The house was empty. Their room was clean, quiet, almost sterile. On the nightstand, they had left a note. I picked it up with trembling hands. Mom, I don't know if I will ever forgive you, but I still love you. I always will. You are my mom, and that won't change. I hope someday you understand the damage you did. I hope someday you regret it. But I also hope someday I understand why you did it. Take care, Michael. I folded the note and slipped it into my blouse pocket. I walked through the quiet house, my house now, just mine again. I stepped out into the backyard. The bougainvillea was blooming bright and unapologetic. The lemon tree was heavy with new fruit. The air smelled of wet soil from the morning rain. I sat on the iron bench Daniel had installed decades ago, the same bench where he used to braid my hair. And there, in the soft sunlight, I let myself cry. Cry for the hair I lost, the son I lost, the relationship that shattered, the version of me I had to kill to become free. But I also cried with relief, because I finally had my house back, because the silence didn't hurt anymore, because I could breathe. I didn't know if I made the right decision. I didn't know if Michael would ever forgive me. I didn't know if I would ever forgive myself. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I had recovered my dignity, and that was worth every tear. Do you think a mother can love her son and still let him go? Tell me, because I'm still asking myself. The first weeks after they left were the hardest. Not because I missed the chaos, but because the house felt enormous, too quiet, full of ghosts. I still woke at 6, but there was no one to cook for, no one to serve, no voices in the hallway, no footsteps on the stairs, just me and my thoughts. And the silence. I cried sometimes, over coffee, while watering the plants, while folding my laundry, just mine now. Roberta visited me 3 times a week. She brought food, laughter, warmth. Have you heard from Michael? She always asked. No, nothing. Have you called him? No. Why? Because I need to give him space, I said. He needs to process this without me pushing. He needs to decide on his own when, or if, he wants to speak to me again. Roberta understood. She didn't push. She just poured more tea. One afternoon, while cleaning the closet in Michael's old room, I found a box of old photographs. Michael as a baby. Michael at his first communion. Michael at his high school graduation. Daniel holding him as a toddler. I sat on the floor, surrounded by memories, and I asked myself quietly, at what moment did everything go wrong? At what moment did the laughing child in these pictures become the man who looked at me with resentment? Maybe it was gradual. Maybe it was my fault. Maybe it was life. Maybe it was all of it. Perhaps I spoiled him too much. Perhaps I gave him everything without teaching him to value anything. Or perhaps that is simply how life works. Children grow. They leave, and when they return, neither they nor you are the same. I put the photographs back in the box and wrote Michael on the lid. Someday, I would give them to him. When he was ready. When I was ready. But not that day. Weeks passed. October slipped into November. The mornings grew colder. The lemon tree began to shed its leaves. The bougainvillea, stubborn as always, kept blooming bright, bold, resilient. I built a new routine for myself. I woke early. I did yoga in the backyard as the sun rose. I made breakfast just for me. I read books. I painted watercolors, something I hadn't done in years. I visited museums. I sat alone in coffee shops and enjoyed the silence that once scared me. Little by little, I began to feel whole, again, like a cracked vase repaired with gold. Different but stronger. One Saturday morning, I was drinking coffee in the backyard when my phone rang. An unknown number. For a moment I considered ignoring it, but instinct made me answer. Hello, is this Mrs. Evelyn Carter? Yes. This is the city hospital. You're listed as an emergency contact for a patient. Michael Carter. My heart froze. What happened? Is he all right? He was in a car accident. Nothing life-threatening, but he has a fractured arm and some bruising. He's stable. He's asking for you. I'm coming, I said. I'm on my way. I grabbed my purse, my keys, and ran out. The drive to the hospital felt endless. Traffic crawled. Every red light felt like an eternity. My mind created the worst possibilities. What if they were wrong? What if he needed surgery? What if he was scared? What if he was alone? At the hospital, I rushed inside, gave his name, and was directed to a waiting area. 20 minutes felt like 2 hours. "Room 4, a nurse finally said. I walked in. He looked so small, so young, so fragile. His arm in a cast, a bruise across his forehead. His eyes closed. "Michael," I whispered. He opened his eyes. When he saw me, he began to cry. "Mom." I went to him and held him carefully, not touching his injured arm. And I cried, too cried in a way I hadn't cried in weeks. Crying from fear, from love, from relief. "I'm here," I whispered. "I'm here, my love. Forgive me, Mom," he sobbed. "Forgive me for everything. For how I treated you. For what I did." I said, stroking his hair gently. "Not now. All that matters is that you're okay." We stayed like that, two broken people holding each other together. Later, I sat beside him as he explained what happened. He was driving to a job interview. A car ran a stop sign and hit him. Hard, but not enough to kill him. "And Sabrina?" I asked quietly. He looked away. "She left?" "What do you mean?" "She left 2 weeks ago. She said she couldn't keep living like that. No money. That horrible apartment. With me. Being a failure." "Michael," he cried again. Softly. "You were right, Mom. I am a failure. I tried to find work. I really did. I couldn't pay the rent. I ran out of money. I had nothing, no food, nothing." "Why didn't you call me?" I asked. "Because I had pride, because I was angry. Because I thought I could do it alone. And now I know I can't. Not without your help." He took a shaky breath. "I want to change, Mom. I want to be better. I want to be the son you deserve. Please, just give me another chance." I took his hand. My son, my little boy. Lost, scared, finally facing reality. "I love you, Michael. I will always love you. But listen carefully. You think I don't want you to come home. That's not it. It's that you need to understand something." He looked at me, eyes full of fear. "What happened wasn't only your fault," I said. "It was mine too. I gave you everything and taught you nothing. I fixed everything and let you learn nothing. I protected you so much that I weakened you." "Mom, let me finish. Now you have a chance to start over. And I will help you, but not like before." "What does that mean?" "It means I'll pay for 3 months of rent in a decent apartment. Not luxury, decent. And I'll help with groceries for those 3 months. After that, you take care of yourself. And if I can't, you will," I said softly. "Because now you know what it feels like to have nothing. Now you know what it means to struggle. And that is going to make you stronger." He squeezed my hand. "And can we talk again?" "Like before. Better than before," I said. "Because now we'll be honest. Now we'll have boundaries. Now we'll build something real. Not me giving and you taking. But both of us respecting each other." "I'll try, Mom." "Don't try," I said gently. "Do it." I stayed with him until he was discharged that afternoon. I drove him to his apartment in Queens. It was small, cold, dim, but it was his. "Tomorrow," I said, "we'll find a better place. Then we'll make a plan. A real plan." "Thank you, Mom." "Don't thank me yet. Thank me when you earn your first paycheck. When you pay your own rent. When you look me in the eye and say, 'I did it.'" On the drive home, the city lights blurred through my windshield. I breathed deeply, letting everything settle inside me. I had gotten my son back, but not the same son I lost. A new son, a better son, a son learning to stand. And I, too, had become someone new. No longer the mother who solved everything. No longer the mother who disappeared into sacrifice. Now I was the mother who guided, the mother who stood firm, the mother who loved with strength, not fear. A mother who finally loved herself too. And that strangely, beautifully was better than everything before. When I got home, the backyard was lit by the moon. The bougainvillea glowed softly. The lemon trees swayed in the wind. I sat on the iron bench, the same bench where Daniel used to braid my hair. The same bench where I cried the day Michael left. And there, under the starry sky, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. Not the peace that comes at the end, but the peace that comes at the beginning. A quiet rebirth. A gentle understanding that sometimes you must let go of what breaks you so you can rebuild what saves you. I took out my phone and opened my gallery. I scrolled through photos of Michael as a child, smiling, eyes bright and full of life. Then I looked at the recent photos, the few we had taken in the last years, and I saw something I had never noticed before. In the old pictures, I was smiling with my soul. In the recent ones, I was smiling only with my mouth, my eyes distant, hollow, lost. When had I stopped being myself? When had I allowed that to happen? It didn't matter. What mattered was that I was finally finding my way back. I went inside, walked to my bedroom, and stood before the mirror. The woman looking back at me had short hair, deeper wrinkles, tired eyes but clear eyes. Eyes that finally saw. She wasn't the woman who had slept through the sound of scissors. She wasn't the woman who swallowed disrespect out of fear of being alone. She wasn't the woman who lived in her own house like a ghost. She was someone new. Someone stronger. Someone who had learned that real love must include loving herself. I touched my short hair. It had grown a little. Soon I would have to visit Martha again. And then it hit me. I didn't miss it anymore. The long hair, the identity tied to it, the decades of memories, it no longer felt like a loss, because I had gained something more important. A new identity. One not defined by appearance, or marriage, or motherhood, or sacrifice. An identity defined only by me, by who I chose to be now. I smiled at my reflection, and for the first time in years, the smile was real. "Well done, Evelyn," I whispered. "Well done." That night, I slept deeply. No nightmares. No guilt. No fear. Because the worst had passed. And the best was just beginning. 3 months went by. 3 months in which I kept my promise. I paid Michael's rent for a small but decent apartment in Linda Vista. I gave him grocery money. But nothing more. And something extraordinary happened. Michael got a job. Not a glamorous one, administrative assistant at a logistics company. Modest pay. Long hours. But it was a job. A real job. A job with a paycheck carrying his own name. The day he called me, his voice was trembling not with fear, but with pride. "Mom, I got paid. My first paycheck. It's not much, but it's mine. I earned it. I'm proud of you, son. And Mom, I want to invite you to lunch. Nothing fancy, just a diner near my job, but I want to treat you. With my money." That lunch became one of the most important moments of my life. The chicken soup was simple. The rice was ordinary. But watching my son pay the bill, watching his eyes shine as he held that receipt, felt like watching him take his first steps all over again. "You know what the best part is?" he said as we walked toward the subway. "When I get home tired, body aching, I feel complete. Like I'm finally doing something worthwhile." "Because you are," I said. "You're building your own life." "Yes, and Mom, I want to apologize again. One last time. Because now I understand. Money isn't just money. It's effort, time, sacrifice. I never appreciated what you did. Not really." I hugged him right there on the street. People walking around us like we were invisible. "I forgive you, son. And I forgive myself for not teaching you sooner." We began seeing each other every week. Sometimes he came to my house and I sent him home with containers of food. Other times I visited his apartment, and each time I found it a little more transformed. Still small, still humble, but clean, organized, alive. Plants in the windowsill, books on shelves made from old wooden crates, a broom by the door. His own world built by him. I'm learning, he would say proudly. I'm learning to cook, to clean, to pay bills. And how does it feel? I'd ask. He would laugh softly. Terrifying, but also liberating. One afternoon in February, while we drank coffee in my backyard, he said, "Mom, do you remember Sabrina?" Of course I remembered, but I hadn't asked. I hadn't wanted to open that door. "Yes," I said softly. "I remember. She called me when a few days ago." "What did she want?" "To come back," he said. "She said she made a mistake. That she misses me. That we should try again." I felt my chest tighten. "And what did you tell her?" "I told her no." "No," I repeated quietly. "Why?" "Because I realized something." He looked me straight in the eyes. "Sabrina never loved me. She loved what I could give her. The comfort, the money, the house. And when all of that disappeared, she did too." "I'm glad you understood that," I said. "Yeah. And I'm glad I met her, too." "Why?" "Because she taught me what real love is. Real love isn't staying when things are easy. It's being there when it's hard." He paused. "Like you, Mom, you stayed. Even when I hurt you. Even when I treated you terribly. You stayed." "I'm your mother," I said gently. "I'll always stay." "I know. And now I'm going to stay for you, too. Anytime you need me, when you're sick, when you're old, when you're lonely, I'll be there. I promise." And that promise meant more than any apology in the world. But the story didn't end there, because life has its own justice. One day in March, while I was at the grocery store, I ran into Mrs. Margaret, my neighbor 3 houses down. "Oh, Evelyn," she said, breathless with gossip. "Have you heard about your former Sabrina?" "No," I said quietly. "What happened?" "Well, it seems she went to live with an older businessman. They say he was rich," Mrs. Margaret continued, eyes wide, "with a house in the Hamptons. At first, everything was perfect. But recently, my friend who knows Sabrina's sister told me, the man turned out to be married. His wife found out. She kicked him out. And she kicked Sabrina out, too." "And where is she now?" I asked quietly. "She went back to her parents' house in New Jersey. But they're furious with her. She left her husband, your son, for a married man. And now she has nothing. No house, no money, no dignity." I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel triumph. I felt something more complicated. A mix of sadness and recognition. Sabrina had made choices, selfish, greedy, impulsive choices, and life was finally handing her the bill. Not because I punished her, not because I wished her wrong, but because life has its own way of balancing what we put into it. "Thank you for telling me," I said softly. That night, sitting in my backyard, I thought about everything. About how Sabrina, who once cut my hair to make me feel small, was now back under her parents' roof, without independence. About how Michael, who once defended her and ignored me, was now working hard, valuing every dollar he earned. About how I, who once erased myself, now had my home, my peace, my dignity. None of it was revenge. None of it was cruelty. It was simply consequence. When I finally told Michael what had happened with Sabrina, I expected sadness, maybe pity, maybe a desire to help her. But he simply sighed. "Honestly, Mom, I'm not surprised. Sabrina always looked for the easy way out. She wanted someone to carry her life for her. And when that person stopped carrying, she went looking for someone else. But she ran out of people. Now she's stuck with herself. And she doesn't like what she sees." "You don't feel like helping her?" I asked gently. "No," he said. "It sounds cruel, but no. She has to learn just like I had to learn. If someone fixes her life now, she'll never grow. My son had grown, truly grown. The months that followed were about rebuilding. Slow, steady, honest rebuilding. Michael earned a small promotion at work. Nothing huge but meaningful. He began saving money. Every time he managed to put a little aside, he called me. Mom, I saved enough for 2 months of rent. If something happens, I won't be helpless. I'm proud of you, I told him. And I was. And Mom? He said one day, I want to go back to school. There's an online master's in administration. It's expensive, but I can pay for it little by little. Do you want me to help? I asked. No, he said quickly. Thank you, but no. I want to do it myself. If I pay for it, if I build my life with my own hands, then it'll be mine. Really mine. That man, that responsible, grounded, self-aware man that was the son who had existed inside him all along. Buried under years of my smothering love. Waiting for space, for struggle, for responsibility. And I was changing too. I returned to my painting classes. I met women just like me, women who had given everything until they almost lost themselves. Women who had rebuilt their identities from ashes. One of them, Alice, told me something I will never forget. Evelyn, she said, do you know the difference between sacrifice and martyrdom? No, I said. Sacrifice is giving out of love. Martyrdom is giving while secretly waiting to be thanked, repaid, seen. You were a martyr. Now you're learning to love for real. She was right. For years, I had given, yes, but expecting something in return, gratitude, recognition, devotion, and when Michael didn't give me that, I felt betrayed. Now I was learning to love without expectations, but with boundaries. Because love without boundaries isn't love. It's codependent. One Saturday in April, Michael invited me to dinner at his apartment. He cooked pasta with homemade tomato sauce. It was salty, slightly burnt on one side, but it tasted like victory, effort, pride. Mom, he said as we finished eating, there's something I want to give you. He handed me an envelope. Inside was a small stack of bills, $100. What is this? I asked, startled. It's for you, he said. I know it's nothing compared to what you gave me, but it's what I can give now. And I want to give it. I want you to see that I'm learning, that I'm growing, that one day I'll repay everything you did for me. Tears fell down my cheeks. You don't owe me anything, Michael. Yes, he said softly, I do. I owe you for the respect I didn't show, for the peace I took, for the dignity I forgot you had. This, he tapped the envelope. This is just the beginning. I accepted the money. Not because I needed it, but because rejecting it would have rejected his growth. On the drive home, I passed the old neighborhood where he and Sabrina once lived. The building was still their old, worn, tired. And I thought about the choices Sabrina had made. She chose money over love, comfort over loyalty, appearance over truth. Now she had none of those things, not because I cursed her, not because I did anything to her, but because the universe always returns what we give. Sabrina gave contempt. She received contempt. She gave betrayal. She received betrayal. She gave selfishness. She received solitude. And I gave boundaries. I gave respect to myself. I gave love, but with clarity. And in return, I got my son back. Not the dependent, angry boy, but a man grateful, proud, growing. I got my house back. Not just the walls, but the peace. I got myself back. My identity, my dignity, my future. That night, sitting in my backyard, the lemon tree heavy with fruit, the bougainvillea red as fire, I thought of Daniel, of how proud he would be, of how long I had searched for strength that had been inside me all along. I did it, my love, I whispered into the wind. It was painful. It was terrible. But I did it. And it was worth it. The leaves of the lemon tree rustled softly, and for a moment, just a brief Trembling moment I felt Daniel there. Approving, smiling, proud. I closed my eyes, breathed deeply, and knew without a shred of doubt. Everything had been worth it. Because justice doesn't always arrive the way we imagine it. It isn't always loud. It isn't always immediate. Sometimes justice is simply life teaching each person what they need to learn. Sometimes it's karma returning exactly what was given. And sometimes it's just the silence after the storm. The calm after the chaos. The dignity recovered after being lost. And that is enough. More than enough. A year has passed since that Sunday afternoon when I woke up from a nap and discovered my hair had been cut. A year since I heard the words that shattered something inside me. That's how you learn your place. Today I am 59 years old. My hair has grown. It's not as long as it once was. It doesn't reach my waist anymore. It just brushes below my shoulders now. And you know what? I like it this way. It's easier to care for. More practical. And every time I look in the mirror, I don't think about what I lost. I think about what I gained. I gained clarity. I gained strength. I gained the ability to recognize the woman looking back at me. It's Sunday morning. I'm sitting in my backyard. The lemon tree is full of ripe fruit. The red bougainvillea glows in the sunlight. My coffee is hot in my favorite mug, the one Daniel gave me on our 10th anniversary. It has a small crack along the rim, but I refuse to throw it away. Broken things can still be beautiful. They can still be useful. Michael is coming for lunch today. He comes every Sunday now, but he no longer lives with me. He no longer depends on me. He comes because he wants to, because he chooses to. That difference changes everything. Last week, he called me, his voice full of excitement. Mom, I got another promotion. I'm a regional coordinator now. Better salary. Full benefits. Son, I said, I am so proud. Truly proud. And Mom, I found a bigger apartment. 2 bedrooms. One for me and one I want to use as a study when I finish my master's. Have you enrolled yet? Yes. It starts in August. I'm nervous but excited. I'm going to finish this time, Mom. I'm going to do it. Every one of his achievements fills my heart, not because they belong to me, but because they don't. They are his. Entirely his. Earned by his own effort. 3 months ago, on his birthday, he surprised me. He arrived at the house with a bouquet of white roses, my favorites. Mom, there's something I want to tell you, he said. Something I've wanted to say for a long time. We sat in this same backyard, beneath this same lemon tree. I want to thank you, he said, his voice trembling, for saying no, for setting boundaries, for forcing me to grow. I know it was the hardest decision of your life. I know it broke you. I know you doubted yourself, but it was the best thing you could have done for me. Michael, I tried to interrupt, but he raised his hand. Let me finish. For a long time, I hated you. I saw you as a villain, as a cruel mother who abandoned me when I needed her most. But now I understand. You didn't abandon me. You freed me. You freed me from the prison I built for myself of comfort, dependence, and self-pity. Tears slid down my face. His, too. And I want you to know, he said, that I admire you. You are the bravest woman I know. Because giving everything is easy. Sacrificing yourself until nothing remains is easy. What's hard is saying no when you love someone. What's hard is letting go when you're terrified of losing them. I hugged him and cried on his shoulder like I hadn't cried in months. I love you, son. I will always love you. And I love you, Mom. More than I can say. That day, I understood something fundamental. True love is not giving everything. It is giving what is right. It is knowing when to hold on and when to let go, when to embrace and when to step back. Roberta still visits me. Now we don't just cry together, we celebrate together. We laugh, we make plans. Evelyn, she said one day, we should go to Arizona. Just the 2 of us. A whole week. Eat good food. Visit national parks. walk through old towns. You know what? Yes, let's go. Let's do it. And we did. In March, we went to Arizona. The trip was liberating. I realized that my life did not end with motherhood. That there was more to me than being a wife, a mother, a caretaker. That I still had places to discover, people to meet, memories to create. On that trip, I met women my age, some widowed, some divorced, some who had simply chosen to live alone. All of us had one thing in common. At some point, we had to choose between continuing to be who everyone expected us to be, or becoming who we really were. One of them, Teresa, shared her story. Her husband had cheated on her for 20 years. She knew. She stayed for the children, for appearances, for fear. Until one day, she said, sipping her drink on a terrace, as the Arizona sky turned pink, I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back. And I asked myself, is it worth living a life that isn't yours? And the answer was no. Absolutely not. She divorced at 60. Now, at 65, she has a small craft business. She lives alone. She is profoundly happy. I don't regret staying as long as I did, she told me. I wasn't ready before. But I would have regretted staying one day longer once I was ready. Not acting then would have been betraying myself. Her words echoed in me for days. I had been ready to, and I had acted. And although it hurt, although there were nights filled with doubt and tears, I did not regret it. A few weeks ago, while Martha was styling my hair, she asked, Evelyn, have you ever thought of letting it grow long again, like before? I thought about it, really thought about it. No, I said. This hair is mine. It belongs to the woman I am now, and I like who I am now. She smiled at me in the mirror. I'm glad, she said, because the first time you came in after everything happened, I saw a broken woman. Now I see a complete woman. Complete, that word stayed with me. Yes, that's how I feel. Complete. Not because I have everything, but because I have what matters, myself. This morning, while I prepared lunch for Michael, I thought about Sabrina. Not with resentment. Not with hatred. Just neutrality. I heard from Mrs. Margaret that Sabrina found a job as a sales associate in a department store. It's not much, but it's something. A beginning, and I'm glad. Truly glad. No one deserves to be imprisoned forever in their worst mistakes. We all deserve a chance to grow, to change, to learn. Maybe one day she will understand what I understood, that life is not about what you can take from others, but what you can build for yourself. Maybe someday, when she's ready, she will look back and be grateful even for the falls. Because falls teach us how to rise. The doorbell rings. It's Michael. Right on time, as he always is now. Because he has learned to value time, not take it for granted. I open the door. He's holding flowers again and a bag of pastries from an artisan bakery. Hi, Mom, it smells amazing. What did you make? Turkey and mashed potatoes. The best in the world, he says, smiling. We go inside. He sets the table while I serve the food. There is something beautiful in this simplicity. In this quiet ritual, in this relationship rebuilt on stronger ground. During lunch, he talks about his job, his coworkers, his future plans. I listen, truly listen. Without interrupting. Without trying to fix anything. Without jumping in with solutions he hasn't asked for. That's not my job anymore. My job now is to be there. To accompany him. To celebrate his victories. To hold him when he falls. Not to live his life in his place. Mom, he says suddenly, there's something I want to ask you. Tell me, are you happy? The question takes me by surprise. I realize no one has asked me that in a very long time. Yes, I say. And I feel the truth of that word in every part of me. Yes, I am happy. I'm glad, he says. Truly glad. After everything you gave, after everything you went through, you deserve to be happy. You do too, son. You also deserve happiness. I am happy, Mom, he says. For the first time in my life, I really am. I have a job. I have my own place. I have dreams. I have an honest relationship with you. I have my life. And that's more than I ever thought I'd have. After we eat, we sit in the backyard, drinking coffee and watching the sun go down, painting the sky orange and pink. Mom, he says again, there's something else I want to tell you. Yes, I met someone, a woman. Her name is Andrea. She's an accountant, hardworking, independent, and she's different. Different from Sabrina. I ask gently. He smiles. Completely different from Sabrina. She doesn't want me to support her. She doesn't want me to fix her life. She wants a partner. Mutual support. She wants us to build something together. I'm happy for you, Michael, I say. Truly, I want you to meet her, but not yet. I want to be sure. I don't want to repeat the same mistakes. Take your time. And when you're ready, I'll be here. I'll be happy to meet her. He stays until nightfall. Before leaving, he hugs me tightly, like when he was little. Thank you, Mom, for everything. Thank you, son, I say, for giving me this chance. For letting me be your mother again, but better this time. When he leaves, I close the door gently. I walk through the house, myhousequiet.com, full of my presence. And I don't feel alone. I don't feel empty. I feel at peace. I go up to my bedroom, open the drawer where I keep important things, and take out the letter Daniel left me. I read it again, as I have so many times. Sometimes the greatest love we can give is to say no. I smile, because now I understand those words completely. I put the letter away and take out something new, a blank notebook, waiting to be filled, and I begin to write. Dear woman reading this, if my story found you, it's probably because you needed to hear it. Because maybe you erased yourself. Maybe you gave until nothing was left. Maybe you allowed disrespect because you were afraid of ending up alone. I want you to know something. Something it took me 58 years to learn. Your worth does not depend on how much you give. It does not depend on how much you sacrifice. It does not depend on how much you endure. Your worth exists simply because you exist. Because you are human. Because you deserve respect, dignity, and love. And real love will never ask you to disappear. Real love celebrates you. Real love respects you. Real love includes you. If someone in your life makes you feel small, invisible, insignificant, that is not love. It is control. It is abuse. It is manipulation. And it is okay to say no. It is okay to set boundaries. It is okay to choose yourself. You are not a bad mother for setting limits with your children. You are a wise mother who teaches them that respect goes both ways. You are not a bad wife for demanding dignity. You are a woman who knows her value. You are not a bad daughter for protecting your well-being. You are someone who understands that you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you are afraid, it's okay. Fear is part of the process. But don't let fear paralyze you. Don't let it steal years you will never get back. Because in the end, when you look back, you will not regret the times you chose yourself. You will regret the times you didn't. This is my story, my truth, my lesson. And if it helps even one woman open her eyes, find her strength, reclaim her dignity, then every tear, every doubt, every sleepless night will have been worth it. With love, Evelyn Carter Reyes, 59 years old, widow, mother. And finally, myself. I close the notebook and leave it on my nightstand. Tomorrow, I will keep writing. I will keep telling my story. Not to judge, not to preach, but to walk beside other women so they know they are not alone. I lie down, turn off the light, close my eyes, and for the first time in a long time, I don't think about the hair I lost. I don't replay the arguments, the eviction, the slammed doors. I think about the lemon tree that still bears fruit, the bougainvillea that blooms every spring, morning coffee, Michael's visits. Road trips with Roberta. Daniel's words. The woman in the mirror. And I smile. Because I learned my place. Not the place Sabrina tried to force on me. I learned that my place is not beneath anyone. Not in silence. Not in the shadows. Not as something convenient, disposable, or owed. My place is here. In my home. In my life. In my own skin. And that place is sacred. It is mine. And no one, absolutely no one, will ever take it from me again. If this story touched your heart, stay with me. Listen to more stories of women who turned their pain into wisdom. Share this with someone you love, because sometimes a story is all it takes to change a day or a life.